It's unbelievable how many are leaving. Yes, we are seeing an ongoing mass exodus in the United Kingdom. And I think you're going to be quite shocked by the information I give you today, because if you saw my video about 6 months ago, it was a kind of viral video, over 800,000 views, where I sort of broke the news on the sheer numbers, and I broke that down as to what the truth was and what the government was reporting. And I was really shocked back then at how many people, and this isn't just millionaires, we can touch upon the millionaires and billionaires leaving, of course, in the video, but it's not just millionaires and billionaires anymore. It's normal, everyday people, like most of the people that watch my channel here. The skills, the brains, the information that is leaving the United Kingdom right now, it really is like a sinking ship. It's somewhat worrying. Now, I gave you a statistic 6 months ago, and that was that this was for the year of 2024, every single minute there were people leaving. So that was one person every minute. Now I want to show you what it's become now as we're in 2025. Another statistic though I gave you was that in 2024, 10,800 millionaires left. So that was one departure every 45 minutes. But in 2025, the forecast is even more severe. This is millionaires and billionaires, 16,500 they forecast to leave. So that's not one every 45 minutes, it's one every 32 minutes. Now, you might say, well, why is that important, Neil? Why do I even need to know that? How does this affect me? It affects all of us. It doesn't matter where you are on the income scale. This affects all of us, the mismanagement of the economy, the finances, the government. And to give you a bit of context here, in 2023 to 2024, the non-DOMs, which you've heard a lot of on the news, paid £12.5 billion in taxes. So it wasn't what Rachel Reeves said, which was that they don't pay taxes. They actually paid 12.5 billion in taxes. And then I'm going to leave the sort of rich in a moment, and we're going to go over and look at some of the stats on just the normal people. So if you look at the UK economy, which is roughly 3.3 trillion pounds, that's the GDP, the gross domestic product, and you divide that by the outflow that we've seen, that's 140 billion, that's just over 4% of the money that these people have left in 1 year. That's just the non-DOMs, the wealthy people who have left. That doesn't include the other entrepreneurs and all the jobs and all the skilled labor. One in particular I spoke to was a junior doc. I can't remember his name. It was Ahmed or Mohammed or something like that. Really, really nice English guy, third generation. His parents were from somewhere in the Middle East. And I asked him, why are you actually leaving? And he said, I can get paid double or triple in other countries, and you're not well looked after in the UK. And then then we laughed when he talked about the taxes. He said, Neil, do you know how much I pay in taxes? And I said, I can guess. So this is the shock that's happening. And Bloomberg Analysis has just done a report saying that the non-DOMs that are leaving could cost tens of thousands of jobs and around 12.2 billion pounds. Now, this is where it gets quite interesting. This is long-term emigration versus immigration. Now, you remember when I talked about the response to this, which was from the Labour government, and they said, it doesn't matter, let these people leave. If they want to flee, then that's up to them. If they want to abandon the UK type thing. And they said it doesn't matter, because for everyone leaving, we've got one or two coming in. And it's not that simple, because as I've shared before in some of the lessons here, one GDP doesn't equal one GDP from another country. And actually, we'll go on to a couple of tabs in a second now, and I'll show you that. So, for example, long-term emigration, over 500,000, but immigration was considerably more. And I pulled up the predominant nationalities. Now, I've included both legal and illegal immigration into the UK, just so that we've got a broader perspective here. So the main crossings are Albania, Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Eritrea, Pakistan, and Zimbabwe. So I used the word crossings. I should have said in general, because some of them are illegal crossings, others are legal where they get visas to come in. So that will be India and Pakistan and Zimbabwe and some of the others. But it does say that of the illegal crossings, over 95% claim asylum when they come in. So that's the first point. We've got to get that through. Now, let's go on to a couple of the shared screen parts here. So 91 billion as a result of this left. And we said that it assumes that between 12 to 15% of non-DOMs would go. That was the government, what they said. Don't worry, only 12 to 15%, 12 to 25%. But actually, now we've got a lot more data. This was the original consultancy from Oxford Economics, which was in September, so about 10 months ago now. They suggested 63% would leave within 2 years. Well, actually, it's even more. We're just seeing this mass exodus taking place now. And it's interesting because a year ago, I talked about how the UK was second only to China. So you can see here, 9,500 left versus 15,200. These are wealthy millionaires. Well, that's not what's happened now. This is the new chart, okay? So it starts all the way up here. You're going to be shocked at this. So this is the new chart. Okay, keep looking out for the UK. Keep your eyes peeled here, as we would say. Where is the UK? Where is it? Oh, hold on. There's China. The UK is there. In fact, I've got to keep going across to show you. This is the UK, and this is the money that is leaving. So last year, this was all the data that I showed you last year, but this is the latest data here. 16,500 people, millionaires and billionaires leaving. So it's now way more than China. It's not quite double. In fact, 15,600. Actually, it's more than double. If that's 15,600 there, it's 16,500 if we were to double that. So it's more than double China. So you can see where this has gone. It's quite unbelievable, ladies and gents. And we'll come on to that in a moment as well. I just want to know in the comments here, are you shocked by what is happening? Are you upset? How do you feel about what's happening in the UK if you're a UK citizen? If you're not a UK citizen, I know we would love to read your comments as to, your thoughts on what's going on in the country, because I'm shocked is an understatement. Every day I keep seeing these new policies coming out. It's scary to me. It really is, the amount of money that is leaving. Now, I want to show you a really interesting graph here as well. This is called capital exodus, and then we'll look at the GDP. This is the one in, one out that they talked about, which is absolute nonsense. But before then, I just want to tell you today's video sponsor is Monetary Metals. So you obviously know gold prices have been breaking all-time highs this year, but actually price appreciation isn't the only way that you can profit from owning gold. Most people don't know this, but you can actually earn a yield on gold. And that's because of the jewelry industry has to borrow a lot of gold. So you can actually earn a yield that's paid in gold without selling any of your gold with Monetary Metals. And right now you can earn 4%. That's what they are offering at the moment. They're offering 4% on gold. And the interest is actually paid not in dollars or pounds or euros. It's paid in gold. So it just accumulates. That's one way that you can grow your gold. So from price appreciation and the interest. And you can fund an account with metal you already own, or you can purchase it from them at less than 1% over spot price. So you can join thousands of investors earning interest in physical gold every month with Monetary Metals. And to learn more, go to monetary-metals.com/NMW. Now then, let's talk about this then, the capital exodus and the GDP. So this is the capital exodus that we've seen. And look, this is just year to date. I want you to look at this one here, focus on this. This is the United Kingdom here. 140, what's that? It's billion, 140 billion. Now you look at that compared to China here, and I've already done this for you. This is China's GDP, 17.8 trillion, and the UK is 3.3 or almost 3.4 trillion. That is and we're not getting growth, GDP growth, but China is. You can see here, China's getting 5.25%. And look at the population as well. It is staggering. It really is. Now, I wanted to show you this example then that the government seems to say, it doesn't matter, one in, one out, and all this sort of nonsense. Well, let's just look at the US. There's GDP per capita for the United States is 80,000. Okay, so let's now look at United Kingdom. It's 50,000. Now then, let's look at a couple of these countries where they say one in equals one out. Let's just take Albania. That was the first one, wasn't it? Albania is 8,000. By the way, we're looking here at this box, GDP per capita. Okay, so that's Albania, right? What about Pakistan was another one. Pakistan, 1,365 is the GDP per capita there. So one person does not equal one person. I don't even know if we'll have Eritrea. Probably not. I doubt it will be even tracked. No, it's not. Syria, I doubt that'll be. No, Syria's not tracked. That just shows you how low they are. Zimbabwe should be tracked. $2,000 for Zimbabwe. Afghanistan is probably going to be $416. So it doesn't equal that. The media and the government, they got a lot to answer for here. Now, another thing I want you to see is that this is from the government website, so you can see it here, gov.uk. These are the official statistics on income tax, where they don't care that all of these people are leaving. Well, if you can see this blue box here, we've got a key. The top 50% share of income, the top 50% share of taxes that they pay. Then we have this purple, which is top 1% share of income, top 1% share of tax. Now, this is really important. If we look at 2022, just focus on these four boxes here, okay? So 2022 to 2023, the top 50% share was 75%. And they paid 90% of all taxes, 90.4%. The top 1% share, that was 28.5% in all of taxes. Now, as we go down here then, and we're now focusing on this dark blue box downwards, this means, again, let's look at the key. This is the top 50% share of income, so it dropped by 0.5%. But look where it dropped the most heaviest. It dropped by 2% here. So this is the 1% leaving, and this directly impacts the tax revenue and drops it dramatically. Now, another thing we should talk about is jobs. And people often say to me, well, I don't care all of these rich people leaving and taking their companies with them. Good riddance to them. You hear this all the time. Well, you would care if they take your job with you. And this is what we are seeing. Some of these companies are leaving, and especially the tech or the finance, insurance, some of the others, they're taking a lot of the jobs with them. And this is on top already of the AI that's taking jobs. So we're seeing a lot of jobs actually disappearing. Now, let me show you this again. I love to show you the evidence, because if I just talk to the camera here, I get people that say, oh, nonsense, he's making this up. Where's the source? Show me the source. So I've got to show you the data. Otherwise, you won't believe this stuff. So the figures are from PAYE, Pay As You Earn records of the Office of National Statistics from the United Kingdom. So again, this was up to April, and I want to show you up to July in a moment. This is up to April. This is the jobs, the payroll that have fallen since the budget, since all this was announced. This is it now. Okay, you ready? This is it up to June. It absolutely plummeted even more. So if you thought it was bad before, it's now plummeted even more. We're down to 41,000 in the negative. It wasn't like that before. So this is really serious. And now we're seeing the Financial Times just put out an article yesterday. UK economy sheds jobs for the 5th consecutive month in June. The jobs are leaving, my friends, ladies and gentlemen, the jobs are leaving. We just saw this article came out yesterday. This was out of the Telegraph. Billionaire puts £250 million mansion up for sale after declaring the UK's gone to hell. This was the Norwegian shipping tycoon, basically. He's going to the UAE, which is interesting because that is where... Here we go. This is where a lot of the millionaires, because many of you asked me, where are they going? They're going to the UAE, the United States. They're going to Italy, Switzerland, Saudi. Not sure who's going to Saudi Arabia, but Singapore, Portugal, Greece. This is where they're going to. But the UAE is grabbing the most at the moment. So he's putting his mansion in Chelsea on the market and he's getting out. We also had this, which is quite alarming. This is the exodus of energy workers that have been leaving, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. And this was another thing. The UK government's energy policy levy, which means a tax of up to 78% on UK profits, has now affected the oil and gas developments as well. So it's not just the jobs that are leaving. It's now the oil and gas companies. So the energy worker, if you're an energy worker, by the way, please drop a comment. I will love to read that. But people are leaving, ladies and gents. They are packing up. They're going. You listen to all these pilots and the private jet pilots and the airports and the relocation experts and all these other people, the moving companies. Look, just listen to what they say. If you've ever seen any of these clips on some of the shorts and things, they're saying that the rich people are just leaving in droves. And remember that London got hit quite badly as well, because of all the Russians that were sanctioned, so they left, and they left in other areas. And now you're seeing these other people that are leaving. So you're seeing a lot of wealth flowing out. You really are, and the non-doms going. That's going to actually cause a lower tax incomes than would have been. It's quite concerning. Please subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't already. I produce videos like this 3 times a week. If you like this sort of information I condense for you, take all these sways of info, turn it into a short video for you, time saver. And apart from subscribing, thank you for watching the video. I really appreciate you all. And just a reminder to check out Monetary Metals if that's of interest to you. Apart from that, take care, God bless, and I'll see you on Wednesday.